Yeah, ayy. You know what I'm saying? We ain't come to play with you niggas. That's the take a real. Yeah, ayy. We invaded, make it change the generational. I can't do no waiting, that's some shit a fucking lame to do. I can't do no burn a fucking block or two. They can stay the rain, I brought the thunder, that's how angels do. In the corners, that's why they should fall apart. Yeah, I'm getting money, but I do it for the art. I can tell they faking cause they shit ain't got no heart. I just took my pain and know it's art. Now we floating. She said she wanna ride the wave, but I'm too broken up. The universe just opened up, diving in again, present tense. Why you acting like bitch? Like you scared to take a risk. I was living like I'm rich even when I was in the stick. Much faith in my spirit, reality reflecting it. I took my passion, I'm piercing through all the fear. I persevere, I do not care if it kill me. Just this body gon' disappear, but my spirit gon' live ever. My attitude changed the weather. I'm putting this shit together. My life get constantly better. My eyes see all the lies, my mind, the holy tribe. My tribe just know we thrive in time. We'll change the word of my line. Yeah, we guess niggas be clicking up, beefing all over stupid stuff. Ain't no real purpose. My verse here like a heart surgeon. I fuck the world, you still a virgin. They don't tell the truth, just virgin. World builder, I bleed gold and piss silver. This God. We invaded, mad and changed generational. I can't do no waiting, that's some shit a fucking lame to do. I can't do hating, we just burn a fucking block or two. They can stand the rain, I rock the thunder, that's so angel. Cutting corners, that's why they should fall apart. Yeah, I'm getting money, but I do it for the art. I can tell they faking cause they shit ain't got no heart. I just took my pics on that shit and know it's art. Bitch, I'm on a mission, don't have time for this. You think life a joke, I swear that shit lame. Can't fuck with no bonds, cause I'm gon' game. I don't do no drugs, I'll stay high like a plane. I'm making plays just like LeBron James. Where I'm at, the weakest gon' deceased, the strongest gon' remain. All I gotta do is continue to be, they gon' know my name. Gon' say lit no matter what, can't let them set on my flame. You just sitting there doing nothing, my nigga, you should be ashamed. I'm a hoe, I'm not the same. That's why I kiss my energy, I ain't trying to get trained. I'm trained, anticipating no activity that's gon' bring me shame. Can't keep like my towers fall, I gotta learn how to maintain. You just lost it, but you can get it back, you just gotta reclaim. I ain't tripping, I'ma get through it, I learned a lot from pain. I'm a whole alien, I'm not the same. We in the man can change the generational. I can't do no waiting, that's some shit a fucking lame would do. I can't do no hating, that's just burn a fucking block or two. They can stand the rain, I rock the angel do. Cutting corners, that's why they should fall apart. Yeah, I'm getting money, I do it for the art. I can tell they faking cause they shit ain't got no heart. I just took my pain and turned that shit and know it's art. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today, you know, we back, you know what I'm saying? It's been a little minute. Shout out to Daniel. It's been a little minute, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to get things in order for the most part. You know, it's Virgo season, but Virgo season is coming to an end. But for the most part, the energy in general has been figuring out ways to maintain. Time we talking about earth energy, it's about maintaining, and being that it's a mutable earth energy with Virgo, it's about, you know, being flexible, knowing how to stay consistent. But sometimes consistency looks like you know, doing other things that make everything more efficiently. So that's the overall energy. But for the most part, we got through the full moon in Pisces. The moon is now in Aries. I think it's like real early degrees. I think it's past the cusp. But for the most part, when we talk about just the full moon and everything that it kind of represented, I put in the title, illusions die for new beginnings to be birthed, basically. So when you think about that, the full moon is always a nice measure to see, okay, on track, if I've been planting the right seeds, or am I a little off? Do I need to kind of get back in order? And the way you kind of assess this is based upon how satisfied you are with your circumstance by the time the full moon hits. Full moon hit, I believe, you know, pretty late. I mean, not that late, probably like around 7. So when you know, right now in general, like just talking energy wise, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of energy regarding your emotional state. And you know, is Virgo season is always a little panicky. You know, it's harvest, so we try last little bits of things we can to just make sure that we have a sufficient fall, because we know the fall is coming. It's almost the equivalent
to looking the sun go down. You know what I'm saying? You know, you see the sun coming down, you know, okay, it's finna be nighttime. So I need to make sure I have certain things in order so that my night runs smooth. So when you look at the zodiac wheel, it's the same thing with the seasons. During the winter months, fall, we start to experience some more of the harsher realities of our situation. You know what I'm saying? During the fall, it's not like the summertime where you can go out and kind of low-key distract yourself, and there's other people outside too. So it's something that seems like you can engage and get everything blended in. You know what I'm saying? He said, since you believe in astrology, what do you think about second moon going to pass by? I don't know. Like when it comes to stuff like that, that's like some when we think about things that's being popped up in the news, it's kind of, I don't know, they be saying a lot of things are happening. You know, they be like, oh, it's a meteor shower, some asteroids gonna hit us. All of that is kind of just, I don't want to say made up, but a lot of time news stories create narratives to get people's mind off track. So when I look at stuff like that, I just be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You said Israel's not actual moon, but it's an asteroid moon size. Right. But see, at the same time, that just means it's an asteroid in the distance. That doesn't really mean, because see how they phrased it, it's a second moon. It's not no second moon. It's, like you said, it's just another asteroid. But when it even comes to the moon itself, the moon is a reflection. So, you know, it's like, again, when they start talking about different stories and stuff, we don't know their angle is and why they're creating a narrative around certain stuff. So it's like, I look at it like, I don't know, man, that's some stuff they came up with, and that's up to them. You know what I'm saying? So you said, imagine if you put AI in something lucrative instead of hocus pocus. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty lucrative, actually. You know what I'm saying? For me, it might not be for other people, but you know, AI is cool though. A lot of people making money, and hopefully you're doing something lucrative. And I appreciate you coming through to watch me, because it must be lucrative in that sense. You said, let bro do his thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Hating ass nigga, right? Like you spending your time on over here, but that's cool. You know, it's all good. But for the most part, getting back to the energies, right? And the reason, you know, and also why I don't really consider that asteroid take it too seriously is because when we talking about what's going on and how it's affecting us, I don't know, maybe something to develop where we can get a sense of what's going on from that but for the most part, energy going on, like that's what we use astrology for here. Is like not to just say, oh, this planet, understand how certain energies are influencing us. When it comes to that asteroid and stuff like that, we don't really know what that energy is. We can maybe get a sense of it based upon what we end up experiencing for the next couple of days. Or I know I saw the dates, it's somewhere in October, I think it comes through, or is it September? I don't know, but it's like, you know, certain time period. So I don't know, maybe there's some energy influences from it, but for the most part, you know, I stick to what I actually know. I don't know nothing about that extra stuff. But when we talk about the current energies coming off the full moon, it's a lot of so the full moon took place in Pisces. Pisces is the energy of water, imagination, feeling, connection. So there's that when it comes to our emotional state, we have to kind of be aware of where we're letting certain emotions kind of get the best of us. You know, you have to be real I want to say real patient and real particular when it comes to Pisces, because if you're not, that energy can kind of take you all over the place, meaning it can have you reacting things and thinking something is real when it's not. And being that it's a full moon and a lunar eclipse, when we have a lunar eclipse, it's a time in which it's almost like feelings come to the surface to a point where you can't ignore it anymore. So boom, also being conjunct Saturn, it's like you're really seeing the reality of certain illusions you was in. This is a time where everybody's kind of coming to grips with these systems that done led them down certain paths, and everyone's asking themselves, damn, is all this really worth it? You know what I'm saying? Is all this really worth it? All this effort I'm putting into one thing, all this attention and focus I'm trying to do, is it real, or am I just making this up? And based upon, you know, again, you can assess whether or not you're on the right track based upon the result of you know, whether or not you feel satisfied when it comes to Pisces energy, when it comes to your imagination, your inspiration, in the sense of what you have faith and belief in. If you look at the things you believe in and you still can hold strong to these things, and you satisfied with these things, then chances are you planted the right seeds. And planting the right seeds during this time period had looked like you putting practical work into certain things. Again, all that Virgo energy, you know, going from the new moon itself in Virgo, it had to pass through You know, Virgo had to pass through Libra, so there was certain things we had to comes to our ability to relate, information we was taking in, and there might have been certain things we had to add or take away from our routine to create balance in our life, right? And see, all of this is a testament of how serious we really were about the things we said that we were to do, or that we dream about, that we really believe in. So how serious are you? Are you willing to kind of modify your you know, Virgo is an energy. It's about low key pushing yourself to that limit. You know, when you're in the Virgo mode, it's like distract yourself with other people's problems and try to fix others. But when you're a high octave, you're using the energy in a more higher octave space. This is you going within yourself and saying, okay, when it comes to me, how can I push myself and take myself to the next level? It's a matter of being disciplined, like we've been talking about this whole transit. Discipline, focus, and making sure that you're choosing the things that are actually going to propel you forward, the things that are actually going to benefit you. You know what I'm saying? It's the when you think of the concept of going on a diet, part of going on a diet is really just you being consciously aware of what you consume and what you know, in your, it's like a certain connection with your body too, because even though you might be hungry, you got to be disciplined to understand, okay, well, I'm trying to lose weight, so I need to put myself in a calorie deficit, need to make sure I'm not eating at a certain time, I need to make sure I'm getting proper rest. Diet, health, all those things, six house type things, it's all about the details, and the details aren't always fun. That's why it kind of oppose Pisces, in the sense of the details sometimes frustrate us because it takes away from the creative aspect, the kind of just going with the flow. One of the things that I said in a previous live stream was about how discipline creates freedom. I think it was when the moon was in Sagittarius. It's like discipline is what actually creates freedom. So if you look at this whole transit leading up to this full moon, if you weren't adding and applying certain discipline, you know, doing things as you know better, then you might find yourself in a situation where you're looking at what you've manifested as a bunch of opportunities, you know, that can feel extremely negative, and that could push you to kind of, you know, again, criticize yourself. And see, with the moon slot, now we had the full moon in Pisces going into Aries. It's a situation where Aries, we know Aries is the spark. The relationship between Pisces and Aries is Pisces is all that imagination that we put into something. Pisces is the development of what to believe in, but when it comes to actually fighting for what we believe in, it takes Aries energy. It's the sign. So that what that even looks like, that's why Aries deals with identity, individuality. You know what I'm saying? When you believe something and you're fighting for something, you have to embody that thing. Same thing even when you're manifesting certain goals and things in your own life. If you don't take the time, if you don't put energy towards embodying the energy you want to see, then you're never going to actually get it. You know, you got to be what you want to see. You know what I'm saying? So that's a for you to understand. Even right now, the transition we going into, a lot of things need to tilt off. And see, that's the benefit of Aries energy. We got to melt a lot of all that excess emotion that's not helping you. You got to get that shit. And this is kind of that moment where a lot of people are in emotional turmoil based upon them not knowing what to choose. You feel a certain way about what you're going through. You can't quite see the end result yet, and you still in the middle of it, but you commit to it. That's all Virgo is about. And even Virgo's transition into Libra, you understand, every mutable sign into cardinal sign it's about setting the parameters in a new space for you to then embody it in space. So like mutable signs create the vacuum or create the void for that cardinal energy to then initiate something in that space. So if you don't carve out spaces during mutable signs, or even in your own life, let's say you're a Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces sun sign, how you interact in the world and what you act on, a lot of times your role in life is to create the space for other things to be participated in. A lot of times mutable signs are responsible for kind of the circumstance, even though cardinal signs are the leaders of that, and they are who initiate action and things going on in that space. Mutable energy that set that parameter for it, and then fixed signs figure out how to maintain it and manage it and figure out how it can grow. And that's kind of how all the signs have a role to play in the mix. So you got to understand this from your own personal. If you are a mutable sign, look at your life and look at certain things that you might have let, like if you're a mutable sign, look at how different your life might have been. A lot of those moments where you look back and you like, damn, I could have, should. It's coming from things you maybe could have created a certain circumstance around, but instead of doing that, you might have just been overly passive, you know. And so you might have just let somebody else do it, and then you find yourself in somebody else's story, in the middle of somebody else's journey, doing something that somebody else going on, and then now you're sitting there confused, and then people blame you because, again, when you don't play your role, it creates these awkward kind of dynamics. And there's a lot of things that play out because we understand astrology is more things than just your sign at play, and different alignments play in, and, you know, things get real specific, and it's not always that. But a lot of times, like on the low, we also have, when we're playing out our energies, and when I say playing out our energies, so when we're interacting with the world, because interacting with the world is where we have to understand our natures. Because it's almost like when you're to yourself and you're around people you trust and your inner circle type shit, and you're comfortable, you have more access and ability to tap into your more spiritual side. It's almost like, it's kind of like how we say, like, when we be in soul group and we like, oh, we got to be around like-minded individuals. See, one of the you'll realize when you kicking it with people who match your vibration and kind of align with your spiritual path and spiritual energy, a lot of that time, that experience, you'll see is like moments you can put your guard down. And putting your guard down is not always intelligent. You're around people that you really trust and you really connect with, the spirit is able to be in that space. And we understand when you talk about your spirit, your raw spirit, it's way more vulnerable. It's way more, even though it's powerful, but it's like if you think of your ego and your natures as somewhat of your armor and your ability, it's almost like before you go outside, you put on clothes, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when we talk about astrology in that sense, your natures, your energies that you want to tap into when you interact with the world, that's like a metaphor for your clothing. So it's something you put on. Your ego, your sun sign itself, is something you push off, right? Your moon sign is more connected to you, your vulnerability. But at the time, like when you're around people you can trust and you're in a safe space, that's where that energy really flourishes and where it's able to kind of be free. But when you go out into the world, you got to be aware of other people acting in their nature better. So it's a form of you understanding your own nature, so you know how to kind of create. It's almost like, yeah, you're going to war in a sense of knowing how to create distance with certain individuals who you see going down a path or playing out energies. You can see somebody how they using their mind in the wrong way, so you do what you need to get the fuck out their way and do, you know, focus on you. Chances are you going to work or something like that where you're around a bunch of other people who do not give a fuck about your well-being. So you got to be on the prowl. You got to be and even in that sense, you got to be a predator yourself, to where you're looking like, oh, I'm gonna make sure I make the space for me to exist because I'm out in the wild. Again, it's like, that's why we call them natures. If you look at nature, you watch your channel Discovery and shit, you know that should be brutal. You know what I'm saying? It just, in the wild, anything could get ate. You know what I'm saying? Anything, it's all about predators and prey, and everybody trying to get resources in this one big pot. And if you don't move the right way, if you think you can be, you know what I'm saying, if you don't got the right move, you don't know the right timing, if you ain't in tune with what's going on and paying attention, guess what? You will get, you know what I'm saying, you'll get got. You know, that's just how it go. So it's all a matter of that. And but getting back to what I was saying, I forgot what led me on that tangent, but that's the whole point. You know what I'm saying? When we outside, that's what we use astrology for, as a tool. It's really it's a form of helping you protect yourself. It's a form of helping you know how to navigate, because everything that the spirit is made of is precious, and we have to make sure this thing has a peaceful transition. Even though sometimes we got to go to war for it, sometimes it is a moment of quiet, sometimes you got to do different things to help your spirit expand. What I'm not saying is just go to what's safe and hide behind certain things that feel comfortable. I'm actually saying the opposite. Being able to know your natures, to be able to manipulate your own energy so that you can manage to see new things, go new places. Again, if you was to just go off of what felt comfortable and stuff, you wouldn't see anything in life. You know what I'm saying? You miss out on so many experiences. A lot of times you can't even get what you want until you're willing to stand firmly in some shit that is highly uncomfortable for you. Shout out to Arda in this bitch. He said was waiting for you, bro. Peace. Extreme energies going on these days. Right, exactly, man. Yo, I appreciate you too, man. And I seen some of the videos you posting too. I gotta I'm gonna share them on my page, man, because you be going off too. I was like, okay, I see you kicking that game. So shout out to you. But yeah, man, and that's the whole thing too, like extreme energies. Cause I think all mutable signs really be extreme, but Virgo for real, man. I see Mello. I think it was Mello. Shout out to Blazing Mello. I think he was saying on Twitter, he was like, man, Virgo season went by fast. I was in my head like, hell no, Virgo season was long. That shit's still going on as degrees. But man, I mean, when I tell you work, like I ain't never worked before. But it's good energy. It's opposite my energy too. So, because I'm a Pisces sun. But, you know, it's not about me for real. Comes to that type of shit, you know, yeah, a lot of the energy's going on. Like I was saying about the eclipse, when the eclipse come, it's almost like we can't hide certain vibes, you know what I'm saying? And it being conjunct Saturn, we're really getting the reality of these imaginations and arms. And the question is, with Virgo, as always, is it efficient? Does it work for us or not? And if it's working, then cool, we can keep something, you know, we can keep what works, but we also can work to get rid of what doesn't work. And again, coming to grips with certain things. Really the bulk of this transit is all about just being honest with yourself to that, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, a lot of people try to be honest with themselves, but it's what's going on subconsciously that you're not aware of that bites you in the ass a lot of times. And this is the case for that. But certain things are being pulled to the surface. Again, it's an eclipse, so certain things is getting clipped off. It's almost like even if you was faking the funk before, right now you really can't fake it. It's clear as day. And certain things, you know, hitting you at other things, because the thing is, everybody is in a situation where we're through immense change. We can see it outside with the world, but also in our personal lives. Again, from the most mundane thing to, you know, saying you might just be switching jobs or something there's a lot of changes in our life that's kind of completely shifting the trajectory that we thought we was going. And this happens all the time, but you know, during certain moments it becomes accentuated. It becomes more apparent, you know, intense. It feels more intense, but it's really you know, it's always just going on. It's just after a certain time, so many things are changing at one time that you be like, damn, okay, I feel it, I can see it. Now the moon, so the moon previously was trining Mars, instance, you know what I'm saying? So a certain connection we was able to establish with our passions, or maybe a internal frustration. But this could have been beneficial energy to start to go to war with feelings that you no longer wanted to feel. Certain things is not helping you either way. You holding on to anxiety, you holding on to self-doubt, these things aren't doing anything positive for you. So at the end of the day, you know, again, you got to be the more mature spirit to decide for yourself, okay, am I clinging on to this emotion because I like it, or am I ready to move on from something that was having me stuck? Because sometimes being stuck is more comfortable than going into something. So a lot of people, even though it's uncomfortable, would choose being stuck because it feels more safe still, even though it's hurting them. And that's what I meant to say. Even though it's hurting them, some people will stay in something that's familiar for the sake of that familiar, you know, just for the sake of that comfort, that false comfort. And it takes a lot to decide for yourself to say, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and push myself to a different circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a choice you got to make. And all of us have the power of choice. But again, live in a world that convinced you that you didn't want to make your own choices. That's why people is in the systems they are today, following the same shit that don't work, all that shit from the elections and all that shit. I slim in this bitch. Nebulous. You know what I'm saying? Go check him out. Some very, very, very good music. You know what I'm saying? Very dope music. We actually working together too. But that's the thing. A lot of shit that we don't want to come to grips with, we have to decide. You know what I'm saying? And that's the shift going on for real. Everybody got to grow up. Remember, this is year 8. And year 8 is all about internal growth. Even when it comes to external things that we're engaged in, a lot of times, it's almost like everybody is going through crazy changes internally. We're in a feminine type year. So this feminine type year, it's like not even really, it's almost like nobody else can really help you with the type of work you at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And he said only Jesus could save. Nah, man, you got to save yourself for real. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why everybody going through turmoil right now, because the energy about relying on somebody else to magically fall out the sky and save you is false. All of us have to reach to a point where we can save ourselves, where we see ourselves for who we are, and from this we make choices that's actually going to impact us in a more positive way. You know, we have to all take accountability. That's a lot of what, even when you look at the symbol of the 8, it's going into itself. And that going into yourself on an instance, this is the deep dive we all got to make in order to bring about the proper transformations and put depth to certain things that's keeping us in loops. You know, all this year is about patterns, loops, understanding these things from an internal, and this is where you're actually taking the subconscious apart and you're actually making proper adjustments to get a different result out of your life instead of living in insanity. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, nothing can improve in your life until you make the choices that's make a difference. You know, again, being too scared, again, all that, oh, I need something to come save me. All of that is just, it's irresponsible. It's like you got the gift of life. To live life around and waiting for something else to come save you is ridiculous. And honestly, you don't deserve a lot of things with that type of mentality, because you don't even learn the ins and outs of how to go get it. You know what I'm saying? When you can't go get yourself, you become demonic by default, because now you have to be a leech. And this is why, the reason the system we in reflects that is because that's what they had to do. It's a bunch of cobalt-minded individuals who needed the energy of other people who had imagination, the Indians and stuff like that, who were connected to spirituality, understood the gold aspects of life and how to work with that. An internal thing that you can't replicate. And that's the truth that we realize. Us down here working and doing what we do, it always, you know, they had to make us believe or think that we was inferior. They had to make us think that we couldn't do things for ourselves, because the majority of people who just go along, again, these are the people who actually built their world. But at a time right now where we see those systems crumbling, because we not in that age no more. We not in the age right where it makes even sense to do nothing like that. We at a point in time where it's about you and what you're here to do. Individuality. Another big thing that's influencing things is we have a lot of these outer planets in, these outer planets are all retrograde. So we're having a hard time finding our place in the world at the moment, because the outer planets represent the age and times we in. The parameter that's giving us a sense of the times we in, quote unquote, right? But with all these energies going retrograde, we're not really sure where we fit in. Now, the thing about it is the answer to that is decide for yourself. You know, and even when you look at the energies, it reflects that same answer, where we have Pluto, right? It's in Capricorn now, but we know it's going into Aquarius. So Pluto being transformation and being kind of like a psychological aspect of what's going on, right? You know, from a kind of a more deep, shout out to McCoby, good evening to you. The Pluto being the more deep psychological, emotional turmoil, information necessary for society to keep moving, right? That's in Capricorn, but it's going into it's retrograde. So what that represents is, on an internal level, all of us on an individuality level, that's what I meant to say, individual level, it's us making certain decisions that, again, are transforming our status, looking at our status and what we even do, what we're known for, things like that, taking power, control it, in the sense of, if you really think about it, right, we know it's going to Aquarius. So it's us going backward to develop that awareness one last time, so that we can move and transition into transition into Aquarian type energy, where Aquarian, by taking power and control over the Capricorn, we understand that's the status that we hold, the resources that we generate, and our ability to be an authority when it comes to what we have to offer to the world, in a sense, because depending on what house you got Capricorn in, that's going to kind of give it some. But for the most part, when we talk about Capricorn energy, that's what it is, being a boss of your business. This is just a matter of you having your life in order. But in a grand scheme context, right? A generational context, this is the best way you as an individual can collect and maintain your resource, and so that you can direct these things in the right area, aka the proper investments, right? You actually being the boss and having certain circumstances solidified for yourself for this. Now, when it goes into Aquarius, it's going to be you taking those sources and then being connected to other people who are on that level. See, if you're not taking power control over your status, over your authority right now, and you're not developing the ability to be the boss of your own life, guess what's going to happen when we move into Aquarius? You just be at the mercy of other people's systems, other people's communities, whereas you're coming into it more so like, hey, can I please be a part of this? Wants to go versus being you already an authority figure. You already doing what you're doing. It's like any group or any community you interact with is going to immediately kind of start to entertain the respect. It's going to be a mutual gain because you're going to be coming with something. You're not going to be coming empty-handed or in a way of like, and it's going to be like, oh, it's respectable. I see what you already was able to do by yourself or with what you had, which is all we have is ourselves. So like think about it like that. Any experience you have or relationship you develop with another individual, what you have, all you're bringing into the relationship is yourself. So depending on what you've been going through and what you've learned in life and how you've built yourself, that determines how people respect you and respond to you. You know what I'm saying? So that becomes the connection. Or it becomes the resources around that connection. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's not really about what somebody got and what you bring into and stuff like that. I mean, but we at a time right now where the reason people bringing that up so much is because of kind of what we've been experiencing with these outer planets. We at a time where everybody is hyper aware of resources and are also aware of how limited the resources we used to depend on actually are. When we get beyond this world and shit like that, we know we can create things and live in a space of abundance. But again, everything in this world is first flipped on its head. So in this world, it seems like everything is like a scarcity. So everybody kind of clawing at each other, seeing what you got, willing to take, rob, steal for the sake of what they think is a limited resource. And that's more so witchcraft that they don't put over other people. But even in the sense of us being in a new system at a new time, there's things we have to create value in. And this is why community is important, because without a group of people, you can't make something valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like I can say, if we all band and we decide for ourselves that we gonna pay people in lighters and stuff like that. So lighters, this is a representation of dollars or something like that, and we start exchanging these things, right? It's stupid if I'm doing it by myself, but if I got a thousand, I say a million people who's using the same system, well, guess what? This automatically starts to have value because it's strengthened the numbers. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did with money. And if you can't find that's why, again, you could look at money, it's just this green piece of paper, but enough people to that system to say, this is valuable. This costs this. This is the equivalent of this. You know what I'm saying? To the point where people literally selling their souls, made up, man-made resource. And you a man too, or a woman, you can create a resource to be valuable. But the missing piece and why you can't do it on your own, and see, that's the whole thing about today's time. This is why, again, we in a time of we need to be doing some more community type shit, because without that, a system can't be made to create an alternate. If we just keep relying on this system, we'll see where that's going. And we already know we don't like that shit. So if still participating in it, we do it because ain't no other system to operate with. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people might think they doing something. For instance, they might try to do a bunch of legal stuff with their birth certificate and all that, but you're not getting the point. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting the point. A lot of that hotep shit and all the, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, look, yes, in the point, because y'all making it about race when it's even beyond that. It's about people coming together. It's about mentalities, and it's about building on that aspect of things. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Radical Tsunami, said they be in this bed. Happy straight jacket. right, man. Straight jacket, full moon, for real though. Real talk. Real talk, man. Whew. Straight jacket shit. But getting back to the discussion with that, that's just one energy. I'm just talking about Pluto. There's also Uranus in Taurus that's currently retrograde. So when you think about Uranus and Taurus, again, that's actually adding to of individuality. And the thing about it is, the issue going on, right, is we have this emphasis of individuality, but people aren't thinking individuality. And also, see, the thing about Aquarius, what makes Aquarius different is its individuality, but it's amongst others. So the purpose of this individuality and diving into yourself and you know, going through all this deep dive within your own subconscious is for your own benefit. It's for you to then take this and then engage the world, engage with others that you can connect with, and also speak your piece. Because again, you speaking your game, right? You saying what you got to say, you might spark something in the mind of somebody else. And that's very much an Aquarian aspect too, you know, the public arena and the purpose of it. You know, I like to look at the 11th house when I'm doing business rotations. I look at the 11th house as marketing, and marketing is nothing more or less than language that you and your consumers or your customers, your fans, or whoever, the people who are investing into your brand, it's that language that y'all create. That language is y'all understanding of each other. So the better you understand them and think and what they got to say, the easier it is for you to get your individual message out and connect to them, right? And then everything with Aquarius house is about debate. Debate is about intelligence, but not just blabbing off of, oh, I think I'm right, so I'm gonna keep talking, and you know what I'm saying? But it's a actual intelligent building of things. Like when me and say Uno went live and we had that debate, it's building mentalities rather than what you see on the elections and shit, that where their form of debate is really just entertainment in disguise. Entertainment, it's like witchcraft disguises entertainment. And the thing is, y'all still don't see it as entertainment. Y'all take it as serious politics. And then y'all wonder why y'all world fucked up. And it's like, they playing in y'all, they having discussions about things that really don't matter in any context. Because the thing about it is, they might be talking about something that's real, but guess what? They're not doing anything to fix it. They're not saying they're gonna fix it. Because if the purpose of a president was to actually run the country, regardless of who the election, the president would be focused on actually doing something to fix what's going on, what's wrong. Like, it's ridiculous how we have the same problems every year, or y'all have the same problems every year. It's the same thing. Y'all fighting for the same things, asking for the same things. At a certain point, it's like when you was asking your mom for something, you kept asking your mom later on, soon. What'd you do eventually? You said, man, she not gonna get it. And you if you was a mature enough kid, you went and figured out how to get it yourself. And so that's what the people got to do. We got to look at this like, yo, whoever's running, they not finna do what the fuck we asking for. So we need to figure out how we can run this shit ourselves. We need to figure out how we can put something together to get the things we actually want, so we can, again, because sometimes, again, not even taking it personally, sometimes people just got to be shown about doing something. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it be like that. You know what I'm saying? It gets deep. But I gotta go live, man. I'm gonna go live again tomorrow because I'm in between jobs right now. I gotta go into the next one, so I gotta more minutes. But to top everything off, like I said, to wrap up what I'm saying about the outer planets, you know, so Uranus is in Taurus. That's trying an aspect of, okay, yeah, individuality is the path to getting more power and control our status and who we, you know, what we want to put out there and broadcast to the world and be known for. That will help us going into that Aquarius energy, right? We also got Neptune in Pisces retrograde. The thing about Neptune getting prepared to go into Aries. So how I was saying too, with the full moon energy, creating the space on an emotional level, everybody's Neptune is kind of playing out as, again, your belief system. Literally, it's going, when Neptune goes into Aries, it's going to be about fighting for what you believe in. But before you fight for what you believe, make sure it's real to you. You know, make sure it's something worth believing in. And that's kind of overarching aspect even of what's going on right now. A lot of what we're experiencing during this harvest season is okay, you know, as we're gathering the together to go into the fall. On an emotional level, we're assessing, we've been to what works and what doesn't work externally, and you know, even when it comes to ideas, plans, and dreams that we're building. But now it's about internally, these, how are these feelings interfering with my ability to actually get a grip on what's going on in the world, and my place in it, and how I can actually do what I need to do to get things going. You know what I'm saying? All of that is kind of like an internal question. So, you know, as we put those pieces together, that's really going to help us determine what needs to be let go of, and what we need to actually start to fight for. Moon in Aries, that's the in conjunction with the sun. We have to know what to fight for, what's waiting for, what details are worth fighting for versus what details is actually keeping us distracted, which details are wasting our time or our energy, and these be cut out of our life. We got to burn these things off, and that'll be better decisions. You're making things better on track for you as you're moving through life, and you're making sense of what's going on. Boom, okay, now you really working with something. Now when it comes to yeah, the full moon and going into Aries is trining, is going to be conjunct Chiron in the North Node. So again, we're assessing these things based upon we know now that we've hit the full moon, we're going into a waning phase. So time to kind of low key pull back. If you did the right work, certain things should stand and able to still operate, even if you're kind of put in. When I say pull back, I mean emotional investment. So kind of starting to more so retract and keep things for you, so you can keep the energy flowing, because it's not about so much putting a bunch of energy work into things. It's like a dance you got to kind of do. Even understand the moon might be full in Pisces, but we low-key need to remember what the Virgo energy was talking about. Same thing with the moon going into Aries. Now full moon aftermath is going into Aries. We need to know what the opposite energy is really doing, because if we're satisfied in the energy where the moon is at, when it's full and still kind of half full, like 2 signs afterward, where you look in the sky, you can still see the moon is full, right? It's still a energy. If we're satisfied with our full moon space, we should be looking at this time to still be like cool on it. Okay, I'm cool with my individuality. Time where you might start to figure out new ideas in which that individuality can be related to the people that you're connected with. How can I take this individuality and not just make it about me? Because I'm satisfied with me and my own individuality, my the other things that Aries represents, my passion, my even my anger and frustration. I feel like I'm angry at the parts of me that need to be transformed, aggressive in the right areas. I'm passionate. I'm willing to initiate a new way to feel and see about things, right? I'm satisfied to the point where I can now create more balance, aka I could look at that where the sun is at, and look at the situation as, okay, I'm working on this still, but I'm working, and I'm using my passion to keep me focused at work. I'm using my aggression to keep me on track with my task, on track with the consistency. I'm passion to fight, and my aggression to, or my anger and frustration to fight doubt and things that's kind of getting in my way, criticisms from those who ain't really in the field with me, or even my own criticisms of myself when I know, hey, I'm doing me. So all of these different things is kind of ways we can use the current moon in Aries to pull ourselves back into the mix, because that full moon might have threw you off a little bit. It might have made you feel a little in the ocean a little bit, a little unsure. But we have to kind of bring that back in. We got to now, okay, let's clear it up. And the sun went into Libra again. The emphasis is going to start to shift from us gathering things and being prepared to how can we distribute this, everything that I've accumulated, distribute this. How can I relate to this? How can I contribute? How can I and who can also contribute to me? Because one big thing about Libra energy too is about reciprocity. So right now we're building up the portfolio, we're building up the catalog, building up the arsenal, and you know what I'm saying, we're getting prepared to have a lot of things to work with and exchange. But at the same time, we need to also be keeping inventory too, to the point where when we do get into Libra, we're not just being global. We're not just working and doing things for others who aren't actually willing to give something to us. Got to be able to assess the details and see, okay, well, how does my investment how's my investment being reciprocated? And not from an egotistical point where we're all looking to, in a greedy aspect, everybody's conniving. Again, that's going to be kind of a misstep, and that can be determined based upon how, you know, that Mars and Cancer energy can kind of get like that, and more so coming from a space of insecurity though. So we also have to check our insecurities and see where those things are driving us to be more or put more pressure on other individuals, when we low-key secretly want to put we know we're supposed to be putting the pressure on ourselves. We know we're supposed to be doing something different. It's, you know, because a lot of you always got to be aware of that when you're pushing things on other individuals. Check yourself and see where that's really coming from, because 9 times out of 10, see, we can't control others. So when we put ourselves in an impossible situation by trying to control somebody else, it's because there's something within us that we don't feel like we have a grip or control over. So it's always a red flag for your to say, okay, the second I'm trying to control somebody else, there must be something about me that I'm not quite secure on, and I feel like it's not in control. Therefore, I feel like I got to impose control over others. You can never control somebody else. All you can control is yourself. And if you are controlling somebody else, you immediately, a lot of times it's because you know, and you know what I'm saying, like if you gonna take it that far, it's because on some level you don't trust them and you don't respect them, and you got to ask yourself why you keep, because a lot of times you might think it's their fault, but a lot of times it's kind of like a two-way mirror. You don't trust yourself, so you have to control everything around you to make it safe. You don't, you know what I'm saying, you don't it gets deep, it gets pretty deep, you know what I'm saying, but certain things like that could be going on. You have to check it with Mars falling in or whatchamacallit, not falling. Is it falling? Mars in Cancer. I think it's just debilitated or something like that. I forget the word. But you know what I'm saying, we got to be an aspect of where Mars can kind of be driving us to do things that's not as honest based on our own insecurities. You know, that's where kind of Cancer Mars gets a little tricky, you know what I'm saying, when they, you know, based upon feeling, and that those feelings on place, and that place not always got anything to do with nothing in reality. A lot of, you got to remember, all feeling is coming from an imaginary place, and nobody else knows your feeling, you know what I'm saying. So to expect somebody to know your feelings kind of it drives you towards illusion. It drives you towards a space where nobody can really, you know, and everybody want to be understood, but that's where water has to learn aspects of communication and stuff like that. But that's what makes it different. And even with communication, there's only so many words we can use, and barely, they bear the point across sometimes of how we feel. So certain things like that we be having to keep in our mind, you know what I'm saying, keep track of. Now when it comes to the moon in shout out to Jack. Oh, you said my emotions be impatient as fuck, right? yeah, because again, Cancer too is like Cancer 1 and now, and depending on where that Venus and shit like that, it gets tricky. But this part is it's yeah, that's what's going on though. The moon squaring that energy too, with the moon and Aries squaring that energy, learning how to feel about that too. Learning, it's kind of like on a, with Aries and Cancer, it's kind of the energy too of Aries wants to, at a certain point, right, Aries wants to take care of Cancer by fight for it, but then it learns that Cancer can fight for itself. And so it's a interesting energy between Aries and Cancer, because one of them is the caretaker, one acts like it just wants to be on its own, but once it actually experiences the care, it's like that's worth fighting for. So when it comes to the relationship between the moon and Aries and Mars in Cancer right now, you know, it's kind of like a hit through the frustration, right? The frustration might be you want to be more independent. You might want to do more things on your own with your passions. You might want to be in a more solo space. But the thing about it is, Mars, it reminds you, when it comes to your passion, you learning more so how to be sensitive to what your passion needs, and your passion might need something that's different than maybe what you want on a selfish level. So there might be certain things that you might have to, I don't want to say low-key compromise for the sake of, and like weird because I'm saying compromise and balance when, you know, that, but that's kind of the energy we going towards, you know what I'm saying, with the sun. So on an internal level though, it's almost like there might be certain things in that, being Mars itself, right, is what's aligning with the moon in Aries. It's almost like I said, there's a benefit in that frustration, learning the ins and outs of it. So with our passions right now, our passions might affect they a little bit maybe it's a sensitive topic, right? What you're passionate about, what you kind of got drive for, and you might even be a little bit on edge. Want certain things right now. Certain things is not comfortable in the aspect of what we passionate about, we even like to do on a consistent basis. So the moon in Aries can kind of be there to kind of teach and learn. Y'all learning, you learning the emotion of your passions and kind of what your passions might need, and why is it that your passions are kind of feeling not as powerful at the moment, you know. And that's where the moon in Aries can kind of bring new sparks of inspiration to that market, feel more charged up and make it feel like, okay, yeah, it might be in a space where I got to do a little bit more private work, but at the end of it all, it's energy I'm charging up to be prepared to do what I need to do, you know what I'm saying? So it's energy on that end, official on that end. But it's frustrating because there might be a lot of things you want to do with passions, but you might feel too drained to really do them. You might feel too tired, or you might be struggling with what's worth doing versus doing. And so, you know, the moon in Aries though being conjunct Chiron too, it's also you kind of having the gift to see, you know, it's almost like a connection to mistakes, you know. And right now, if you're feeling any, you know, it's feeling a certain anxiety right now and nervousness, but part of that junction in and of itself, we got to shake that off. We got to, at this point, you got to look at it like nothing. Like I was telling the old dude earlier, it's like no one coming to save you. What you finna do now? You know what I'm saying? If no one's coming to save you and you feel comfortable now, well, you could sit in that uncomfortability, but what's the point of that if the same amount of uncomfortability can go towards you creating a better situation? So it's kind of like, okay, we need to pick the more mature thing to do, which is to make do of what we have and actually see some kind of change happen, versus sitting around and letting certain things continue to pile on to the point where we drowning, and the shit be a kiddie pool. We be feeling like we drowning and it's a 2-foot pool. We just laying down. We just put ourselves in a position that make it uncomfortable for ourselves even more. So it's like, you know, we got to be hot. Again, this is self-sabotage central. It's like everything right now is a setup for you to choose between self-sabotage and actually making a difference in your life. And again, the better you do this, the better you are able to show up in others' lives. And that's going to matter in Libra. That's what Libra is about. How do you show up in other people's lives? And going to get people fucked up a little bit is if they're so concerned with their own turmoil and they don't use this time to actually detach from where their emotions is them trapped, you'll be in a space where it's almost like you're not going to be at the right place at the right time to meet the person who has that other piece that you might be looking for that can create balance on a whole different, you know what I'm saying, like connections, networking and stuff like that. That's what's going to be that pace we're leading into. And part of this Virgo energy, wrapping this energy up, we need to be cool. You know, full moon in Pisces, we got to be cool on emotional, you know what I'm saying, that Pisces shit, that straight jacket shit. We got to cool on that. We got to be so, man, I done spent all this transit working on myself to the point where I don't have no mixed emotions. I don't think I feel people feel. I know what I feel, and I know what's an imagination, and I know it's an illusion. And I'm not involved in any of it. We got to be cool on that. Now that the moon is in Aries, though, it's like taking that a step further, which is actually using the Aries, you know, part of the G. And what it teaches Pisces is how to kind of brush stuff off. I don't have to keep that me though. You know, Aries is on to the next feeling, on to the next one, on to the next one. I don't gotta hold that. I don't gotta hold that. So that's kind of how we gotta be. It's a bit of, whether we gotta bob and weave a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, I don't need that motion. I don't have to attach to that. I can let that go. That's cool in imagination, but it's really an illusion. I don't need that. Let's burn through that. Let's fight that. You know what I'm saying? So really about a lot of like subconscious fighting, you know what I'm saying, just kind of getting in the ring low key, you know what I'm saying. But again, these things this has to be done to create this new beginning, because here where the next one is going to be in Aries, you know what I'm saying. And I think they said it's also an eclipse, a solar eclipse on the Libra new moon. It gives you an idea. This is like a window gate, portal, or whatever you want to call it, for us to kind of clean certain things up. We got to clean up. And what we're cleaning up is that it's almost like the cognitive dissonance that's not aligning with us. You know what I'm saying? The parts of, and a lot of that right now is just kind of, you grow, you know, when you growing, you outgrow certain clothing, you know, type shit. It's like certain things just don't fit no more. So that old energy just don't fit no more. How to make it work, but now you walking around looking crazy in the streets, you know what I'm saying, with the title on. You know it don't fit. You grew. Throw that shit away. Or give it, you know what I'm saying, give it away. Let that go. You don't have to carry that with you. It's gonna help you. It's just gonna make you seem, you gonna look ridiculous in that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't need to have that on you. So this little time in between, that's what the lunar eclipse does. It brings all those emotions to the, you know, past the surface. Actually decide, and the decision needs to be made as quick as possible, because the quicker you make decision, the more you have to work with moving into the next energy. Because by the time the Libra new moon comes, it's going to be you needing a whole new way of, you needing a whole new, and a new way of relating can only come from you doing the work of separating from old spaces, completely changing up on old energies and shit like that. If you don't do that, you're not gonna find yourself in a new pocket of energy. You're not gonna see yourself in a new space. You know what I'm saying? If you don't separate from all those mentalities and shit like that, guess what? You're gonna be the same motherfucker. And the world ain't gonna help you with the change. That's the funny part. Everything in life, it change inevitable. But if there's one thing about it, the world ain't gonna help you with change. The world is gonna test your ability to change, which is why we forget weak times. Because you in a certain space, everybody on your block reminds some shit you used to do. Everybody from your past calling your phone. Hey, you remember you used to do this? Remember this? Remember that? Memory lane ass niggas. You start to forget, like, damn, I'm trying to change my life and I can't. And you can, but it take further measures. It take you being even more uncomfortable, because to actually change, we know if you really want life, you got to change. You got to change everything that looked like the past shit. And not everybody's willing to make that sacrifice. And that's another one of those key words during Virgo season. Virgo is here to serve, but to serve is in some form to sacrifice too. And that's the same thing even on the opposite end of Pisces. Pisces is about sacrifice too, in some of the most crazy ways, where they do it on a more emotional level. See, a Virgo will sacrifice their energy to get something done. A Pisces will sacrifice their whole emotional well-being or mental well-being, mental health, for somebody else to feel good. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's more lower octave shit. We ain't got to do all that. But, you know, y'all with those energies, y'all know how far y'all would go for those you care about. Virgos know how far they'll go for somebody they care about. That's why they become cynical. You know what I'm saying? Pisces know how far they'll go for somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's why they allow people to think they the fool and stuff like that. But again, that don't always lead to the right things. But we know that, you know what I'm saying? But still, that's just something we have to all keep in mind right now, is that we're facing certain aspects of, you know, what's going on in life. We're facing these things and we're having to come to certain decisions that work us to be mature on a spiritual level. We can't just do the same old kiddie shit that we was able to get away with before. It's so much more at stake. Even if you might be closer to 18 and shit like that. And the thing about it is, even at that age, see, it's not as high of a stakes as somebody maybe in their 40s and shit like that. But it's still important for you to be aware of how things are transitioning, because there's small life lessons in those high school and college interactions and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not about you ain't got to think everything is so grand and, oh, I'm not there yet and stuff like that, and vice versa. It's not always that serious either. Sometimes, even if you are in your 40s and shit like that, as simple as you making a decision to let somebody stay with you for a weekend, or it might be a decision of somebody, you know, again, there'll be things going on. It might even be something with your kids, you know what I'm saying? Whether they want to spend something and experience something else, and you got something going on too, whatever it might be. You know, these things play out from the most extravagant, most mundane. And 98% of the time, it's all the mundane things that make the extravagant moments or the catastrophic moments. So it's all about the present in that sense. You know what I'm saying? We can't rob ourselves of our ability to future by being too concerned with the future. You got to look at the present. The present, the only thing that real and exists that determines what's going to happen next. You know, and the past is something to just give you a frame of reference. So, you know, but right now with everything changing, you got to be able to say, okay, well, I could sit here and let all this anxiety drain me, or I could turn that shit off and get to work. Take whatever is in my present. Let's make do with this to make something cool for me to be comfortable in later on. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it is we be wanting to be comfortable all the time. We want every day to feel like Friday. We want every day to feel like Venus Day. We want all the to be good. We want all the experiences to be pleasant, and they just can't. You know what I'm saying? You said, shout out to Harith. You said, what's good, fam? Doing the Lord work. Right. Real shit. You know what I'm saying? And these are the ways in which, and see, the thing about it is too, we have to be clear with ourselves to allow God to work through us. You know, we got to be clear on what it is we actually want. And sometimes, again, what you want, it changes, you know, and that's the full moon. The full moon right next to Saturn. It's just the reality we've been invested in. And it's like, it's you got to be honest with yourself. But that's my point before I got into this tangent. It was, you know, how honest can you really be if you don't know what's going on in your subconscious? That's what it's really about. How real with yourself can you be if you don't know your subconscious triggers, if you don't know what's going on beneath the surface, if you don't know what kind of past you're dealing with, what you up against? Because if you don't know where you at, you're not gonna know what's up against you, taking you off task. It might be somebody who's in your hood, right? And they always invite you to hang out and to go party, right? Now, you got certain goals for yourself. And because you mess with that person, you don't see where that invite is actually a distraction. So you continue to go out with them and stuff like that. And you, over time, you realize, damn, I got to even cut that time out because that's time taking me away from what I really need to be focused on. You know, and this is where it gets a little complicated because then again, you find yourself separate from people you done have friendships with, or, you know, and it doesn't have to be a dramatic separation, but in order for you to get where you going, you have to know where you want to go, and you have to be able to, it's like driving. You got to be able to read the signs. This motherfucker keep inviting me to the club every weekend, and weekend time, that's time I have off work to invest in my craft. I can't go today. And depending on how they take it, some people take that shit, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that shit, he said, where it be at? You talking about that song I made, where I be at? You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to read the signs. Sometimes it's like you realize, man, every time I kick it with this friend, it takes me off this exit, and my exit that I'm trying to individual is further down. It's a couple more streets up. So it's like you have to make decisions. You got to be able to be wise enough to determine that. You know what I'm saying? Right, where I be at. Hey, I might play that on the next intro and shit like that. Yeah, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's the majority of what's going on right now too. Is like, and that's part of that whole individuality thing where, you know, you got to know for yourself what it is you on track to do. Like, you got to really understand what you're here to do. And you know, again, it's have people around you, but these connections and stuff like that, you really have to have a sense of your own individuality, and along with that, allow other people to be where they at. And again, where y'all meet is where it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, got this in common, but it's important for all of us to develop a sense of self that's strong enough to have a direction and have something. Even if our sense of direction to do what we choose to do is to help another person, that's fine too. But understand, you contribute to the mix and make it known. You know what I'm saying? Don't just be kind of overly passive and stuff like that and hoping they'll notice you. Make it, hey, I'm here to help with this. This is what I do, and make yourself a part of that. That's how you get on some you know, Aquarian type vibe, where it's still, you know, you're an individual, but you can also be working with somebody else, in alignment with somebody else to make something prosperous. Now, what is it? Yeah, Moon and Aries. Yeah, Moon and Aries also is gonna be let me see, we got it sextile in Jupiter, so opportunities for you know, when it comes to our experiences, what we learn right now. This is the you know, Jupiter's in the last decan. It's kind of like we have to apply what we know, you know, to our experiences. So this is kind of an opportunity for us to apply what we know. The Moon in Aries, again, it's kind of giving that color to Jupiter and Gemini. Now, Jupiter, again, Jupiter is still it's where it's opposite to where it likes to be at. So we still have to check ourselves to make sure that we got the right information. For the most part, that's kind of the essence of it. It's like we have the ability to now actually be present in these things we're experiencing and apply what we know. And applying what you know is going to help you kind of manage and take things to where they're supposed to go. Kind of get to that, I'm not going to say get to that next level, but whatever it is you're going through, is like that Aries energy going to give you the passion to do it. So in that experiences, you might have been learning a lot of stuff, but now that Aries is going to spark something in you to be like, okay, apply this to see if it worked. Let me actually do this to see if it worked. The moon opposite Venus. So again, feeling opposite to what we appreciate and love. We might feel misunderstood in love, or like it's not necessarily with us, but we have to remind ourselves, you know, this is a time where we got to love ourselves in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Try to check ourselves in the sense of being cool with what we got going on. You know, the more you got going on for yourself, the easier it is to have a higher level of confidence. And see, that even helps your relationships more. When you got something going on and they got something going on, then y'all spend spaces when y'all come together. It's like, okay, we got so much more to relate about, because I didn't can't wait to tell you about, you didn't had experiences you couldn't wait to tell me about. Boom. And then I took what I know, brought it to you, you took what you know, brought it to me, and now we got stuff going on, you know. But sometimes when you too much on what someone else got going on, you might miss out on opportunities for yourself. You might become, you know, this is the type of energy that can make you a little clingy and stuff like that, especially if you had a run and maybe you're unsure about your own emotions and feelings. This is easily, you know, you can take a misstep by being too involved or engulfed in what somebody else feels, or somebody else, you know, what somebody else got going on, versus actually investing, being interested in what you got going on. Also, Venus squares Mars too. So, you know, again, frustration when it comes to what we appreciate, and maybe even, it's almost like with Venus and Libra squaring Mars and Cancer, we might start to become frustrated because we think they're supposed to care about what we're passionate about. But that's not fair to them, because that might not be what they're in, you know what I'm saying? They're obligated to care about what you got going on. So try not to take things personal regarding your passions and how much other people are participating or not, because you might feel like, oh, they're not participating with me, and you might go on a whole rant in your mind and destroy their character in your mind, creating kind of this weird awkward interaction when y'all meet again or y'all interact again, and they have no clue about it, and it's all in your head. You just taking it personal because you think somebody's supposed to be obligated with what you passionate about, and you didn't even communicate none of this. So be careful. Try to communicate a lot about what you appreciate, especially if it has something to do with your passions, and learn how to keep your passions to yourself too. Sometimes your passion is private, and that could just be your shit. You know what I'm saying? Let that be your thing. You know, and not everything got to be shared. Like sometimes you might start taking it personal. Oh, nobody helping me with this. Nobody helping. Hey, sometimes you got to learn how to do things on your own. We got to be cool with self-sufficiency. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying let people the hook for not engaging with you and participating in stuff, especially if y'all got previous agreements. But if y'all got previous agreements and stuff, again, that's still communication necessary, logic, discussion, you know what I'm saying, confirmation. Don't just assume just because somebody not spending time doing what you do that they don't care about that, and vice versa. Don't expect them or put some kind of energy out because you think they owe you their attention. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Nobody. And the thing is, we all in our own world. Sometimes we gotta remind folks, and we got to bring them into our world, especially right now. Again, it's a year 8 too. Everything is internal. People thinking real deep. Also, Virgo energy, real critical and real hard on themselves. Everybody's low-key crying for help. Like I was saying in the other live, people going through it right now. So, you know, you got to give grace. You got to give a lot of grace. Shout out to Grace. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give grace right now because it's a lot. And people might not like, oh, where is this energy coming from? And you don't even realize it's coming from your own insecurity, or you're coming from your own and that's a lot of times too, when you so dependent on somebody else, a focus and energy. Sometimes it be your own insecurity that's biting at you, that's creating that kind of frustration and resistance. So, you know, just be cool. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be cool. Like I said before, full moon still going on. Nowhere, you gotta be cool on the current energy where the moon is at, Aries, and we got more considerate of, okay, if we satisfy here, how can we integrate some opposite energy of the moon, which is Libra? How can we integrate some to this to not get too swept up in the intensity of the full moon? With the full moon in Aries, the common person who's not aware of this, they're gonna go overboard with being selfish, and that's going to create problems in other areas moving forward. Because again, being too selfish right now, we know the moon, the sun going in, folks gonna remember that. Everybody keeping receipts in Virgo season. Everybody remembers, and they don't remember. They don't care about what it was going to be. They want to see the result of it, and they remember every bit of what you said, good, bad, and ugly. So even keep that in mind of how you interacting with people. The worst thing you could be doing right now was being hella aggressive and blaming people for this and blowing up and shit like that, and just being mean and nasty for no reason. If you got to fight fire with fire, that's one thing. But if you just being nasty and mean, negative, nagging, and you know what I'm saying, and like just overbearing with your, like all of that shit, it's clipped for that. It's clipped for that. But anyway, I really got to dip and shit like that and get to the job. But let me see, last thing. Yeah, we talked about moon. What else is the moon? The moon in Aries, Saturn. We talked about Saturn. We talked about, yeah, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Mercury there. Moon in conjunct Mercury, misunderstanding what to think about how we feel, our individuality. Again, everybody's having a hard time figuring out our role in certain things. So just kind of sit back. That's energy that's going to pass. And that's not even a pressing matter. If you focus on yourself and what you know, again, you focus on yourself and what you got going on, it'll make sense to apply your energy. It'll make sense. It'll make sense. You just got to hold tight. You know what I'm saying? We might feel pressure because we don't know exactly where we fit in. That doesn't need to be your concern. Let God worry about where you fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be yourself. Yeah. What was that? That was Virgo. Yeah, Virgo and Pisces. Okay, no, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, nothing Cap. Moon square Capricorn. I mean, yeah, Pluto and Capricorn. Learning how to yeah, it's kind of like learning how to transform. I take them so personally sometimes. We have to present ourselves a certain way, how we treated. It's almost like we have to figure out how to move like that, how to move like we know what we're doing, and not be kind of so quick to react to everything. Yeah, I think that's it. Aquarius and Pisces. Yeah, so that's about it. And then yeah, so that's the majority of it. Next live stream, I'm gonna post a bunch of live streams that is gonna be kind of going on for the next couple of days and stuff like. So, you know, be on the lookout for those. Don't forget to sign up for the women's Each One Teach One. The link is going to be down below. That's coming up. And so y'all don't want to miss that. You know, good game, good knowledge, good wisdom, intellect, those things that's helping us build better mentalities to be more successful in life and shit like that. What else? Yeah, that's the majority of it. Much love, everybody coming through. I will see y'all on the next one, and peace. Y'all have a safe time. This, you know, remember the full moon still lingering, so just still don't be wilding out, and be aware of who in your life is kind of playing out energies of wilding out, and just kind of maybe take a break on them for a little bit. All right, peace.